All right, welcome back. We are going to jump right into it today because, wow, the title of this one, it's a little provocative. We're talking presidential body counts. Yeah, you heard that right. We are actually going to count down the commanders-in-chief who, let's just say, were commanding a lot of attention outside of the Oval Office, at least according to historical accounts and some pretty wild rumors. Okay, so just to make sure we're all on the same page here. When we say body count, we're talking about the modern slang term, right? The number of sexual partners a person has had. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's kick off the countdown. All right, kicking things off at number 5, we've got the one and only four-term president, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. This is the guy who guided America through the Great Depression and World War II, but, well, behind the scenes, his personal life was, let's just say, equally eventful. So what's really fascinating about FDR is the context. Polio had confined him to a wheelchair, but that apparently did not slow down his romantic life. Not one bit. He had this long-running affair with his wife's secretary, a woman named Lucy Mercer. Some say she was the great love of his life. He also had an affair with his own secretary. And get this, there were even rumors about him and Princess Martha of Norway, supposedly to, strengthen international ties. That's one way to do diplomacy, I guess.
But here's where it gets really interesting. His wife, the famous Eleanor Roosevelt, she knew all about it. And while she was definitely hurt at first, she realized how important he was to the country and didn't want a divorce to tank his public image. So she just looked the other way. And some reports even suggest she started having her own relationships too. It was a complicated arrangement for sure.
All right, coming in hot at number 4 is Warren G. Harding. Now, this is a guy who was super popular when he died in office, but boy, his reputation took a nosedive after his death when all of these scandals started bubbling to the surface. Okay, so Harding's most famous affair went on for 15 years with a woman named Carrie Phillips. It only ended when she basically blackmailed him, and the Republican Party had to pay her off to keep quiet. Then there was Nan Britton, who literally wrote a tell-all book claiming Harding was the father of her child. For decades, nobody really knew if it was true. But then, in 2015, DNA testing confirmed it. Yep, Harding, you are the father. But wait, it doesn't stop there. This is where the story just goes from your standard political scandal to something out of a movie. The affairs we know about were bad enough, but the rumors from his time as a senator, they paint an even crazier picture. That's right, we're talking unverified but very persistent. Rumors that when he was a senator, Harding and some buddies actually bought a house together just for throwing wild parties. We're talking tons of booze, young women. The whispers were all about so-called Greek-style sex parties. So yeah, now you see why he made the list.
Moving on, for our number 3 and number 2 spots, we're actually going to group 2 presidents from the modern era together. Their legacies are totally wrapped up in their extracurricular activities, and they really represent a big shift in how this stuff started getting handled by the public and the press.
First up at number 3, a man who, in this particular context, needs almost no introduction, Bill Clinton. Of course, everybody knows about Monica Lewinsky. That scandal was massive. But, as we're about to see, that was really just the tip of the iceberg for old Slick Willie. See, back when he was governor of Arkansas, a whole bunch of women came forward claiming they'd had affairs with him. There were even reports that he used state troopers to arrange the secret meetups. And then, much more recently, this unconfirmed report came out claiming he had an affair with the actress Elizabeth Hurley while in the White House. It really makes you wonder what his staff thought whenever they heard there was a leak. Oh no, which one? And that brings us to number 2, Lyndon B. Johnson. And this alleged quote from him just captures his whole personality perfectly. For LBJ, it seems like it wasn't just about having affairs. It was about being in a competition. And man, he wanted everyone to know that he was winning. With LBJ, it was all about power. It was about superiority. I mean, think about it. He's the guy who took over after JFK. So he was constantly being compared to Kennedy's famous charisma and charm. It seems like Johnson just made it his personal mission to outdo Kennedy in every single category, especially this one. But here's what's truly mind-blowing and shows just how brazen Johnson was. He didn't just try to hide his affairs. He actually engineered the Oval Office itself to help him have them. I mean, look at this. This perfectly explains his audacity. He had a special warning bell installed in the Oval Office. So when he was
Entertaining a guest, a Secret Service agent would ring the bell if his wife, Lady Bird, was on her way. That would give him just enough time to, straighten up. A whole system built right into the heart of American power. Unbelievable.
And finally, we arrive at number 1. Was there really any doubt who it was going to be? Of course, it's John F. Kennedy. He is the Michael Jordan, the undisputed champion, the GOAT of presidents who slept around.
JFK allegedly said this to a British prime minister once. So for him, it wasn't just, a habit. He basically framed it as a medical necessity. And judging by the sheer number of affairs he was rumored to have had, he must have been completely headache-free for his entire time in office.
The list of women he was allegedly with is just staggering. Let's just start with the Hollywood A-listers. You've got the most famous one, of course, Marilyn Monroe. But the list just keeps going. Stars like Anita Ekberg, Gene Tierney, it all just added to that glamorous, jet-setting Kennedy image. But it wasn't just movie stars. Oh no. He was allegedly involved with Judith Exner, who was the ex-girlfriend of a major mob boss in Chicago. Then there was an alleged call girl named Ellen Ramech, and even a 19-year-old White House intern named Mimi Alford. And listen, these are just the names that we know about. The stories claim the Secret Service was totally involved, like setting up the meetings, making sure no one saw anything. There's even one story about a reporter getting tackled in a hallway just to stop him from seeing a woman go into JFK's room. The scale of it all is just, it's hard to even imagine. So, okay, after that whirlwind tour of presidential scandals, what's the big takeaway? What does all this really tell us about power, privacy, and the presidency itself? Well, the common thread here seems to be this mix of just immense, almost unchecked power and a whole system of secrecy that made it all possible. For decades, it seems like the press, the political parties, even the president's own staff, they all just kind of looked the other way. They created this bubble where these massive secrets could actually be kept.
And that leaves us with one last pretty fascinating question, right? In today's world, with the 24/7 news cycle, social media, smartphones in every single pocket, could a president ever get away with this kind of thing now? Could secrets on this scale even be kept anymore? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks so much for joining me.